In this video we will talk about asymptotic analysis framework and motivation. So let me take one example. So let's say I am considering two students, student 1 and student 2. Okay, and I want to grade these two students, and let's say student 1 has scored 86 out of 100 and student 2 has scored 96 out of 100. Now I have derived some grading policy. So according to that particular policy, if student has scored more than 85, then I must assign AA grade to that particular student. So here, as you can see, both the students have scored more than 85. I must assign same class, or I can say same grade to these two students. So what will happen? S1 as well as S2 both will get the same grade, which is nothing but A. Now let me take one more example. So let me take two more students, let's say S3 and S4. Okay, now again S3, let's say S3 has scored let's say 77 out of 100 and S4 has scored 84 out of 100. And now my policy is like this: if someone has scored more than 75 but less than 85, then that particular student must get AB grade. So again, according to this policy, S3 as well as S4 both must get the same grade, same class, which is nothing but AB. Now if you notice, then you can see in both the examples we are not that much precise. Why? Because we are ignoring some information, right? So for example, here student S4 has performed significantly, right, better as compared to S3, but still they belong to this particular same window, therefore we are giving them same grade. The same is true for S1 and S2. The performance of S2 is better than S1, but still because of this particular window, let's say 85 to 100, that they fall into this particular window, therefore we are giving them the same grade, right? So now, so therefore we can say that we are being somewhat imprecise in this particular grade assignment, and therefore we can say that we are ignoring some useful information, right? We are ignoring some information, but otherwise there is no way to assign grades. So therefore we need to ignore some information, right? So this is all about this particular policy, and remember, this particular policy is not applicable to my course. This is just for an example. Okay, now let's say how particular as a function of learning ability, we can say that the grade is nothing but it is function of, let's say, previous knowledge of a student, then his learning during the entire semester in terms of, let's say, YouTube lectures, in terms of classes, in terms of peer learning, in terms of self-learning, and so on, right? So we can say that based on this particular parameters, right, a particular number, right, first marks, and then that particular marks will be converted into grade. So ultimately grade is nothing but function of this different parameters, right, brain capacity and so on. So in other words, can I say like this? It's function of inputs, right? So different types of inputs will be given to a student, and based on his or her capacity and capabilities, he or she will get some marks, and then depending upon marks, grades will be assigned. So instead of comparing students, now we will try to compare two algorithms. Let's say we have two algorithms, algorithm A and as well as algorithm B, and we want to compare performance of these two algorithms. So now algorithms may require different resources, including specific hardware, memory, and so on. But our focus will be on the most crucial resource, which is nothing but time, right? So let me take one example. Let's say algorithm A is a sorting algorithm, and now if we consider like this, let's say I want to sort 10 elements versus I want to sort, let's say, 100 elements using the algorithm A. So definitely sorting 10 elements will require less amount of time as compared to sorting 100 elements, right? So that means what we can say, so this 10 is nothing but my input size, this 100 is also my input size. So if my input size increase, then the time required by a particular algorithm, because now number of mathematical operations will be definitely more if we have input size of, let's say, 100 elements, right? So we can say that the time, which is the most important resource, if we talk about computation, right? So this particular time is nothing but it's a function of my input size, which is nothing but let me denote the input size with small n, right? Okay, and now we'll try to compare these two algorithms, let's say algorithm A as well as B, based on this particular function. So let's say the function of input size for algorithm A is like this: 3n cube plus 6n plus 7. So what is the meaning of this? 3n cube plus 6n plus 7 number of operations are required, mathematical operations are required by algorithm A. Similarly, let's say fb of n, then let's say 7n cube plus 5n square plus 15, right? So let's say this is for algorithm B, this many operations are required. Now we want to compare these two algorithms, algorithm A with algorithm B. So now we need to think, means on what basis we'll compare these two algorithm, and like similar to students, let's say we want to assign grades to these two algorithms also, whether they will get the same grade or same class or not. Okay, so let's see. So the first question is, why do we require any algorithms? So basically, whenever we want to solve any problem of large size, then only algorithms are required. Let's say if I want to sort just 5 elements, then I can do it manually. But let's say if I want to sort 5 million elements, then I can't do it manually. I require a specific algorithm to do so, right? So therefore my assumption is that generally algorithms are required for very large input size. So that means n tends to infinity, right? So based on this we can compare these two functions fa and fb, right? And hence we can compare the function algorithm A with algorithm B. This is the first thing. Okay, so now if we apply this idea, then we'll get some other details also, right? For example, if I consider n tends to infinity for this particular function, then I can clearly say that dominating term is 3n cube only, because if n tends to infinity, then I can ignore this 6n, I can ignore this 7, and the value of this particular function will be mainly dependent upon this particular factor, which is nothing but n cube, right? If I go one more step further, then I can even ignore this constant multiplier. So finally it's cubic, right? Similar analysis I can do for this particular algorithm also. So now if n tends to infinity, then that means if I consider a very large value of input size, then I can ignore this constant term, I can ignore this 5n square, since dominating term is 7n cube. So finally I will get 7n cube, and then again I can ignore this constant multiplier and I will get n cube. So in some sense if I apply this particular logic, then I'm getting the same class. Okay, so from this, for both the algorithms, we are getting the same answer, which is nothing but cubic. So from this, we can say that if my number of mathematical operations are similar, right? So if in other words, if functions are similar, right? If functions are similar, then their corresponding mapping must be in the same class. In other words, what is the idea? What is the summary of this? We should put both these functions fa of n as well as fb of n into one class, which is nothing but class cubic. So it's like assigning the same grade to students who are performing similarly, right? So same we are going to do with algorithms, but more formally, right? So I will give you the formal definition of asymptotic notations in the next lecture. Thank you. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.